Local, live, late-breaking. WESH 2 News on CW18 starts now.
A teacher and a principal at this elementary school in Cocoa Beach have been arrested. I'm Gail Pascal Brown. I'll tell you what they're accused of.
Plus, 2 kids killed in a fire in Palm Bay.
I can replace stuff, and I'm on the harm phone. But for that family, not only their stuff, but their lives.
New tonight, how the Red Cross is now stepping in to help the families left without a home.
But first, we definitely sound like a broken record, but it is yet another chilly night across Central Florida. Here's a live look out to Daytona Beach tonight. Thank you for joining us this evening. I'm Michelle Imparato.
And I'm Jesse Pagan alongside First Warning Chief Meteorologist Tony Manalfi. Tony, we have just a few more days of the cold blast here.
Yeah, one more really cold morning, then I really think we're going to be loving the temperatures here in Central Florida. Let's begin now with a look now at the temperatures here and the wind chills. That's going to be the 2 biggies here for me tomorrow morning. Mid-20s north and west of town, upper 20s, low 30s here in town. The morning temperatures, the actual air temperatures, 27 to about 29 in Ocala, in the mid-30s here in the metro areas. And because of that, we do have freeze warnings now in effect for many areas tonight, north and west, a bit lower, Orlando, Claremont, the attractions in Sanford. But even in those areas that aren't under a freeze warning, we have many wind chills that are going to be running into 20s and 30s. That's why we have cold weather advisories through 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. Live look up towards Ocala. The temperature now 36 degrees at 10 o'clock at night. A very high likelihood that we're going to see a hard freeze there in Marion County. 45 in Orlando, 48 back towards Melbourne. Those clouds and that disturbance is pulling away. Notice the winds. They're not light, but they're not strong, just enough to create a wind chill and just enough to actually help keep those temperatures falling. Feels like 36 in Ocala, 38 in DeLand, 42 here in Bicklow. Coldest yet of the season, waking up tomorrow morning, but after 9 o'clock, things will begin to warm up. Coldest of the year right here, Marion County, 20s to around 30. We're going to be looking at temperatures near freezing and just below. Northern Sumter, Lake County, and that extends back towards the land. Elsewhere, no freezing temperatures, but a lot of frost. We'll take a closer look at that, guys, straight ahead.
All right, Tony, thank you. Right now, several of our local counties are opening cold weather shelters. They'll be open for a couple of days. We have a full list for you right now on WESH.com, and you can also get the most accurate forecast in Central Florida anytime. The app is free to download.
We've got some breaking news now at 10. The Senate just voted to confirm Pete Hegseth as the next Secretary of Defense. You're taking a live look at the Senate floor. The vote came down to a 50-50 tie. Vice President J.D. Vance cast the tie-breaking vote. This is now the second time in history a vice president broke a tie for a secretary confirmation. The last time was Betsy DeVos in Trump's first term. Of note tonight, former Republican Majority Leader Mitch McConnell voted no. A Brevard County principal and a school teacher were arrested this evening after what police call an underage house party.
The 2 women are in the Brevard County Jail, and as WESH 2's Gail Pascal Brown reports, the investigation revealed dozens of intoxicated minors. New tonight, charges have been dropped against a former Melbourne school bus driver accused of pushing a student and putting his hands around their neck. 59-year-old William Green was arrested in September after police say video from the bus showed the incident. It's unclear why the charges were dropped. We'll be sure to keep you updated. Also new tonight, 2 more Orlando police officers are off the force, accused of manipulating time cards to steal money. We first told you last night that 1 officer was fired after a criminal investigation was opened. Orlando police say it is looking at the time card policies and will introduce new software to make sure officers can't cheat the system in the future.
The Florida Department of Law Enforcement is investigating after a Florida Highway Patrol trooper shot and killed someone at a hospital. Ocala police investigators say the trooper shot and killed that person in custody after the 2 got into a fight at HCA Hospital. No officers, hospital staff, or patients were hurt. We reached out to FHP and FDLE for more information, and we've not heard back just yet. 2 kids, 5 and 10 years old, are dead tonight after a fire ripped through their apartment complex. The Red Cross is now helping the 8 adults and 2 children displaced. The fire broke out just before 1 this morning at the Country Gardens condominiums in Palm Bay. The family was trapped inside their unit. A 15-year-old boy jumped out the window to escape the flames and called 911.
I know that the teenage son, I was told he jumped out the window, and that's how he got out. So physically he's okay, but emotionally he is wrecked. So just a horrible circumstance.
The child's mother was rushed to the hospital in critical condition. Firefighters say windy weather made fighting this fire difficult. No word yet on what started it.
A judge decided today that a man will stay in jail without bond. Francisco Arreola is charged with DUI manslaughter after troopers say he hit and killed a 6-year-old boy on his bike in Apopka. According to FHP, Arreola drove his SUV right through a stop sign and hit the boy on West Tahoe Street. During the pretrial hearing, 2 Florida highway corporals testified about Arreola's condition after the crash. The state also asked about the field sobriety tests that were conducted and Arreola's breath test results, which, although was just barely under the legal limit, the test was taken 4.5 hours after the incident happened.
Based on all of your observations up to that point, did you believe that the defendant was impaired by alcohol?
Yes, sir. Based off of my training and experience, he was under the influence at the time.
Arreola's other charges include vehicular homicide, no driver's license causing death, and running a stop sign. In Brevard County, this man is accused of trying to run over 2 kids on their bikes in a fit of road rage. Deputies say this happened on Burns Boulevard and Mary Joy Avenue in Indian Harbor Beach on Saturday. The victims were riding their bikes in front of Thomas Germain's car when they say he tried to hit them. Investigators say he then got out of his car and shoved one of the victims. Germain is charged with 2 counts of aggravated assault and 1 count of child abuse.
A special session on immigration is set to start Monday at the state capitol.
But it's still unclear how lawmakers will handle a series of issues that the governor wants them to address. A memo from the House and Senate leaders sent to lawmakers noted the legislature is constitutionally required to convene after DeSantis called the session. But the legislative leaders have described holding a special session as premature, pointing to the regular session set to begin on March 4th. The governor, in part, wants lawmakers to make changes to help carry out President Trump's immigration policies. But the Senate minority leader says the issues are too complex to be dealt with in a 1-week special session.
There's a lot of, complex ideas and nuances and things that have to be flushed out and consider the implications, all of which cannot be done on a Monday morning. It's not. So I really don't know specifically what would be on special session.
I don't think the idea that you would go in and just gavel out is sustainable, because people would have to go on the record saying they think that they should gavel out and ignore this. And so that would be very, very hazardous politically, I think, for these members to do.
So far, no bills have been filed for the special session. And as President Trump's immigration crackdown takes shape, the governor is using sheriffs to cooperate with the crackdown. Osceola County Sheriff Marco Lopez said today that not much will change. He said he's cooperating with ICE to do what the governor asks, and he assured WESH 2 that cases will be handled with compassion.
We're going to do this job with empathy, compassion, and right now what we're looking at is trying to get everyone who is on those deportation warrant orders out as a priority. Unfortunately, we didn't ask them to come here illegally. We didn't ask them to establish their families here illegally, and it's a sad situation all the way around. But when the government and the president and the governor are issuing these type of orders and mandates, we have to comply.
That compliance has already started. The Department of Homeland Security said on Tuesday that immigration agents can arrest anyone who is undocumented, even if they're in a house of worship, schools, or hospitals.
I'm Tony Atkins in Orlando's Ivanhoe Village neighborhood, where a popular bar is set to close after 12 years. We speak with the owner about why they're closing and lawmakers about legislation they hope will help other small businesses.
And outside right now.
Become a Big Bang wordsmith with Sheldon and the gang.
Just listen and learn. Transient idiopathic arrhythmia.
Wow. Dirty double mother sucker.
What the hell was that?
Learn the lingo with the Big Bang Theory. Weeknights at 7 on CW18.
The catastrophic Palisades and Eaton fires have killed at least 28 people, and they still burn in Southern California tonight. They are surrounded by several other smaller fires in both L.A. and San Diego counties.
They're expecting much needed rain there this weekend. But as Laura Aguirre explains, what brings relief on the fire lines could threaten communities in other ways.
President Donald Trump and California Governor Gavin Newsom toured the damage from the wildfires today. Upon Trump's arrival, he was greeted by the governor, and the two spoke about working together to fix the disaster. Newsom thanked the president for making the trip, as the two joked about how much federal help will be needed. The two took off to the sky to get a bird's eye view of the massive fires and the damage that was left behind. Coming up in less than 15 minutes, we are going to take a deeper dive into Trump's proposed plan to get rid of FEMA.
The cold weather we've been getting here in Central Florida is impacting some animals. More than 40 turtles are getting treatment at the Volusia County Marine Science Center in Ponce Inlet. 10 of them got there today. These cold-stunned turtles were found stranded in Volusia County waters. The turtles usually become weak and lethargic from exposure to the cold temperatures. Most of the turtles already had underlying health issues before the sudden drop in temperatures, making their recovery more challenging and lengthy. They're all getting specialized treatment and will be released back into the natural habitat once they recover.
More than 500 manatees gathered at Blue Springs State Park in search of warm waters. This is the view of the springs from Chopper 2. There could be even more manatees. State Park officials say it's been difficult to keep count of them all because of the windy conditions. Now to Orlando's Ivanhoe Village neighborhood, where a popular bar is set to close its doors for the final time this weekend.
Now the Hammered Lamb is set to close its doors. They say it comes after construction in the area slowed business significantly. WESH 2's Tony Atkins live in the area. And Tony, tomorrow will be the final day.
Well, Jesse, the Hammered Lamb here has been around for more than a decade. I had an opportunity to talk to its owner, and he says that this construction here on Orange Avenue simply was too much to overcome. I also spoke with a state lawmaker who says he's working to make sure something like this doesn't happen to any other small businesses. And Senator Smith says he hopes this proposed legislation will have the bipartisan support that it needs before the legislative session begins in March. I'm covering Orlando live in Orange County tonight. Tony Atkins, WESH 2 News.
All right, Tony, thank you. Tony, we're turning our attention back to the forecast. It's all anyone can talk about this entire month. Makes it difficult on the weekends to get out and enjoy when it's so cold.
Well, you know, and tomorrow we have a big race that kicks off, the Rolex 24. And then, you know, we've been concentrating so much on the cold weather, and rightfully so. But there's a big race, 24 hours of Rolex going on tomorrow through Sunday. And we'll start off very cold. There's no doubt about that. But at least by the kickoff of the race there, we're going to be a little bit better, a little bit milder. And then as we finish it out on Sunday, mid-60s in Daytona, upper 60s here. And then how about that stretch of fantastic weather Monday through Friday in the 70s by day and the 50s by night. So we just need to get through tomorrow morning, and then that weekend warm-up will start to kick on in gradually. Live look in up towards Ocala one more time. Temperature there is 36 degrees, 39 Wildwood, and 38 in Palm Coast, where we are going to likely see a freeze just west of 95 now, including the western side of the city of Palm Coast. The eastern side closer to the Atlantic will probably be just above freezing. The roar before the Rolex 24. Check it out. We've got Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, a lot of activities going on up there. The Rolex race actually kicks off at 1:40. Looks good. It'll be cool. And overnight, we'll be running right around 43. And then as we end the race, we'll be running in the mid-60s. Look at the wind now. Out of the north, 5 to 10. 36 is the feels like temperature in Ocala. 37 to land. 40 in downtown Orlando. The wake-up weather here through 9 a.m. We are talking about temperatures that will gradually begin to rise after sunup tomorrow. But it is going to be a very cold start up here in Marion, over towards Sumter. Lake County will be in the 20s and 30s. If you're not freezing, you've got a lot of frost. We'll have frost throughout all of Central Florida tomorrow. The lone exception might be east of 95 there, back towards Brevard County. But look at the feels like temperatures now. There's 5 a.m., 22 in Ocala, 29 Sanford, 30 in Orlando. Then by 9 o'clock, The worst of the cold is beginning to diminish. The frost and freeze potential, a hard freeze likely here on into Marion County. Freezing temperatures, Wildwood, the villages just to the north and west and very close to DeLand and the west side of Palm Coast over towards Bunnell. We are talking about some freezing temperatures. That freeze duration, let's start breaking some of these down for you. Here in Marion County, 6 to 9 hours of freezing temperatures. Let's take a look at Denellen. You're at 9 hours. Reddick, Ocala, down towards Salt Springs, 8 hours. Bellevue, a 6-hour freeze with a low near 28, 29. And then as we head towards Sumter County, Rutland, the villages, 5 hours of freezing temperatures. Even Webster, southern Sumter County, looking at several-hour freeze duration. Groveland, about an hour. Astor and Paisley, about 3 hours. And Volusia County now. DeLeon Springs, 1 to 2 hours. DeLand, about 1. Pearson, you're looking at about a 2-hour freeze. Last but not least, west side of Palm Coast, I've put you in for an hour now. Shell Bluff, a 6-hour freeze. Coming up in the next half hour, we'll take a look at the longer duration, the gradual warming trend. But look at those temps looking great next week.
The Lunar New Year is not until next Wednesday.
But the big celebrations are happening this weekend, so more people can take part. One of the biggest Lunar New Year festivals hosted by the local Vietnamese community is tomorrow and Sunday. It will be held at the Central Florida Fairgrounds on West Colonial Drive. There will be authentic Vietnamese cuisine and traditional performances.
And the Pirates are about to invade Tampa Bay. Gasparilla is back this weekend. A few 100,000 people are expected to join the fun. After the pirate ship docks at the convention center tomorrow, there will be a parade, live music, and a pirate party.
It's going to be the 107th parade that Mystic Crew of Gasparilla has put on for the city, and I think that history really draws a lot of people into the area to experience it.
Well, the tradition dates back to the early 1900s. It's named for the pirate Jose Gaspar, who terrorized the coastal waters of West Florida during the late 18th and 19th centuries.
We now know that the Muppets at Disney's Hollywood Studios will close this summer before a new adventure. Disney says the Muppet Vision 3D and Pizza Rizzo will close June 7th. New Monsters, Inc. attractions will open and take its place. The Grand Avenue area will close in phases starting in May. Kermit the Frog, Miss Piggy, and Friends will eventually take over Rock and Roller Coaster space.
As natural disasters rage on and political battles heat up, there are a lot of questions surrounding the future of disaster relief.
Coming up next at 10, we're going to hear what Florida leaders think about the proposed plan.
Plus, after the recent attack in New Orleans, communities across the country ramping up security at events, including in Central Florida.
Whether it be a parade, a celebration, any event, whatever it takes to keep it safe, I think that's what matters.
How DeLand is working with law enforcement to keep people safe.
Big.
No, this is bigger than big.
What is happening?
It's happy hours on CW18. That's what's happening.
Tonight I say kaboom!
Who wants to get their shelled on?
Let's do this.
What's up, my nerd diddle?
That's hilarious. Get ready for laughs, and even bigger laughs. CW18's Happy Hours, weeknights starting at 5, only on CW18.
So you in?
Hell yeah, I'm in.
Local, live, late-breaking. WESH 2 News on CW18 starts now.
New information tonight about President Donald Trump's proposal to get rid of FEMA. The president is expected to sign an executive order at some point tonight to create a task force to reform the agency. The task force would issue a report to Trump on how the agency currently functions and would suggest changes, which could include reorganizing or getting rid of FEMA altogether. Florida Senator and former Governor Rick Scott said this when asked about the proposal today.
I didn't see that. My experience with FEMA has been that they were a good partner when I was governor.
The former FEMA administrator also reacted tonight, saying the agency is there to help states after a disaster.
We're sitting side by side with the state emergency managers, and they're telling us what their needs are. Or we bring in the Army Corps of Engineers to immediately start to stabilize the water system, which they did in North Carolina. And so who is going to coordinate this federal family if you don't have FEMA? Because they don't just show up on their own.
FEMA gave Florida more than $2 billion last year after Hurricane Milton's landfall. More than $931 million went directly to survivors to help them pay for housing repairs, temporary housing, and other recovery efforts. FEMA also granted more than $1 billion to support local governments' debris removal. The Trump administration is also looking to fast-track more deportations tonight. The humanitarian parole program allows for certain non-citizens to temporarily live in the U.S. without fear of deportation.
But now federal agents may strip that status from people who came here legally and send them to their home countries. This latest decision has people in a similar immigration program wondering if they're next. WESH 2 will be at the special session in Tallahassee, and our Nancy Alvarez will have live reports starting Monday from Tallahassee on the steps that Florida may take as part of the immigration overhaul.
WESH 2 Investigates continues to bring you new developments this week in the nearly half-century-old mass murder case in Winter Garden in Orange County. Several thousand pages of documents have been filed since we first reported that DNA tests may help free convicted killer Tommy Ziegler. WESH 2 News investigative reporter Greg Fox reveals new details on the evidence and talks with Ziegler's cousin, who has long claimed his innocence. The office of the Orange Osceola State Attorney Monique Worrell has declined comment on the newly filed evidence. No hearing date has been set. Security at public events in DeLand is changing.
It comes after the deadly attack in New Orleans. Communities across the country have started reevaluating how they handle large gatherings. Chris Graham with the city of DeLand says that they're one of them, increasing the number of officers working events. Graham says that they also hope to add barricades to main entrances.
You know, we have on Georgia Avenue, we have bollards that we put in every Friday night for our Friday night market. And we're looking at maybe expanding those, putting those out further, and looking at other areas where we could install bollards as well.
For safety reasons, the city did not reveal the other safety changes coming, but they say an increased law enforcement presence in all large public events will continue. Cocoa City leaders are planning to paint over vandalism at a historic black cemetery and install cameras to prevent further damage. We first told you earlier this week that family members of people buried at Hilltop contacted city council leaders outraged about this damage. We blurred some of the wording because right now it's not clear what the message means or if it's affiliated with any group. City Councilman Alex Goins said that they were working to contact the family who owned the tombstone, but they were unsuccessful, so they do plan to paint over the words. Cameras will also be installed to prevent crimes like this from happening again.
A new push to help businesses take off in Seminole County, specifically on land around the Orlando Sanford International Airport. The airport has hundreds of acres of undeveloped land. Several years ago, the Sanford Airport Authority Board made it a priority to market all these acres to companies that could bring jobs and tax revenue. So far, 18 companies have shown interest. The Sanford Airport Authority has narrowed that list down to half a dozen. Companies interested in doing everything from aircraft maintenance to building hotels.
This area right here has access to an 11,000-foot runway. Very unusual for an airport of our size. 11,000 feet can accommodate any aircraft, any size. In fact, at one point it was a backup for the space shuttle.
The Port Authority says right now there are active negotiations happening involving 160 acres of land at the airport. When the unthinkable happens and time is running out, one man steps up to the challenge.
Coming up next at 10, we'll introduce you to the Seminole County man who saved his father-in-law's life and how he was honored today. Tony.
And Michelle, right now our temperatures continue to fall. 38 in Palm Coast, 36 in Ocala, 39 in Wildwood, 20s are on the way up north, 30s in town. I'm going to break it all down for you straight ahead.
CW18's Happy Hours, weeknights starting at 5, only on CW18.
It's not unusual to hear a story of a person saving someone with CPR. And although that is one element of this story, there is a twist.
That's right. The man that this hero saved is his father-in-law. Today, the Seminole County Fire Department honored their own as well as the man of the hour. WESH 2's Michelle Meredith was there. Seminole County's fire chief took this opportunity to stress the importance of knowing how to do CPR.
Bringing in first warning Chief Meteorologist Tony Manalfi. Tony, one more evening, one more overnight of some really cold temperatures.
Get over this last bump,
yeah.
And I think we're going to be in really good shape, guys.
Okay.
Fantastic. Glad to hear it. It's about time. I'm over it, Tony.
I know you are. I think a lot of people are.
I know.
Let's take a look now at that weekend forecast, as you can see right there. On Saturday morning, we've got that severe weather warning morning, as temperatures will be in the 20s and the 30s as we get you on into Sunday. Still a chill in the air. Still some frost in Marion County. But overall, we're going in the right direction. Look at Sunday afternoon, right around 69, close to 70. We'll get there Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. And overnight lows will be very comfortable. So that's kind of like San Diego weather right there. Highs in the 70s and lows in the 50s. You won't need the AC and you won't need the heat. That's a beautiful thing. Let's take a look now. Live tower cam shot here for you. Love that shot of downtown Orlando. Look at these temperatures. It's 10 of 11. We're already in the mid-30s up there in Ocala. 41 the Villages, 45 in Orlando, and 45 back towards New Smyrna Beach. Little disturbance off to our east, continuing to pull away. Feels like temperatures right now, generally speaking, running about 35 to about 45 degrees. Those will continue to come down as we get deeper into the overnight time frame, and that's why as you're waking up, getting a run in, you're going to need a little something to keep you warm. 36, 37, and 42 at 9. Let's take a look at the out-the-door temperatures here in Marion County, Ocala, Citra, Marion Oaks, Waresdale in the 20s, Umatilla 31, Villages, Rutland right around 30, Leesburg 34, 35-ish. And then we take a look at the temperatures outside of the freeze zone, middle and upper 30s. There is going to be plenty of frost out the door tomorrow morning. And when we take a look at our forecast lows for tomorrow versus the coldest so far, we have asterisks next to every number because every location has the chance to tie or break the coldest temperature thus far this winter season. And with that comes a freeze and a hard freeze and plenty of frost up and down I-4 and I-95. There's your dark blue right there. Hard freeze generally means that temperatures will be at or below 28 for about 4 or more hours. You can see a freeze from Wildwood to land, and then look at that 8:30, 9 o'clock. Things are beginning to warm right back up. So heading into the weekend, Saturday morning, chilly. Saturday afternoon, it's going to feel really good. There'll be a little bit of frost in Marion County Sunday morning, but Sunday afternoon looks absolutely fantastic. Get out and enjoy. There's a ton of events going on this weekend as well in and around Central Florida. Daytona Beach going to be right around the 60-degree mark, and that's fantastic news because the Rolex 24 kicks off at 1:40. The Roar begins 57 degrees. A midnight temperature of 46, and as we're winding down that race there early afternoon on Sunday, we'll jump up into the lower 60s. From there, high pressure's nearby. The temperatures look fantastic here as we get into next week. All the weather is going to be north of Central Florida and stays that way through about Friday. That's when our next weather player may arrive. So with that type of setup, we're painting the orange, above average temperatures here, headed that way for the first time in quite a while. Putting it all together here for you. Chill this weekend in the mornings, but looking absolutely gorgeous as we head into next week.
Looks good. Thank you, Tony. All right, let's talk sports. Is he staying? Is he going? What is happening?
Yeah, coast to coast, diagonally across the state.
Yeah, for Bucs fans, they were really happy on Wednesday when Liam Cohen seemed like he was going to come back to be the offensive coordinator. Then today, Jaguars fans are happy because he will now be the head coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars. We're going to break down the crazy 24-hour timeline coming up next in sports. Plus, UCF has lost 3 of their last 4 and are in need of a win. We check in with the Knights about how they have learned from some recent losses. Sports is next.
This week, there's nothing finer than a Carolina doubleheader on CW Courtside Saturday. First, SMU heads to Raleigh to take on NC State in a high-stakes showdown.
How about that?
Then, Boston College squares off with surging North Carolina in Chapel Hill. CW Courtside Saturday.
Saturday at noon on CW18. Time and temperature brought to you by attorney Dan Newland.
Now, WESH 2 Sports on CW18. Sponsored by attorney Dan Newland.
What a wild 24 hours it's been surrounding Liam Cohen. Hello, everybody. I'm Zach Maskovich. Let's break it all down. Wednesday morning, reports surfaced saying that Cohen had turned down the Jacksonville Jaguars head coaching position and would return to be the offensive coordinator for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. After Cohen turned down the Jaguars job, owner Shad Khan fired then general manager Trent Baalke. Race fans and drivers are ready. Tomorrow afternoon at 1:40, the Rolex 24 will drop the green flag for 24 straight hours of racing at Daytona International Speedway. Helio Castroneves has won the last 3 straight Rolex 24 races, but he will not be racing in 2024, meaning that he will not join a very exclusive club of 4 straight Rolex 24 winners. And you will be able to catch the finish of the race on WESH 2. The coverage begins at noon with the checkered flag dropping at 1:40 p.m. It's always a fun event. So be sure to catch the 63rd running of the Rolex 24 Sunday on WESH 2. Now, I've covered quite a few Rolex 24s here in my time, and it's always better when the weather's better, Tony. We'll be okay come Sunday into Monday.
Sunny and dry.
Or Saturday into Sunday.
It'll be a little chilly in the morning.
That's fine.
But, yeah, but not
wet doesn't mix well with racing.
No.
Bingo. They're going to be happy with this forecast. Speaking of which, let's take a look at tomorrow's forecast. 36, 37, and 42. Again, the cold weather is going to put a little derailment in some outdoor plans for some folks, but not to worry. Look at that 7-day forecast. Rolex 24 looking good. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I'm not feeling so good. Maybe.
Maybe. 3-day
really
weekend?
sick, Tony.
Yeah.
Tony, let me know which day you're feeling sick so we can go out and hit the woods together.
We'll talk. Anyway, looking pretty good.
Remember, you can wake up with WESH. The sunrise crew will start at 5 a.m. tomorrow morning for a weekend morning with overnight news, first warning weather, and traffic. And we're staying on top of any new developments tonight.
Flip over to WESH 2 for local live, late breaking news at 11. And you can always get our news online on WESH.com. Thanks so much for watching.